Why do you always lie?
Why do you always assume I'm lying?
It saves time. The truth. Will you go?
No.
When?
Certain.
Why? Did something happen?
No.
Was it recent?
Yes.
Whatever it was, you owe that creature nothing.
He and I have known each other a long time.
You've been enemies for all of it.
An enemy's just a friend you don't really know yet.
Mark Gatiss from set talking about Doctor Who. I thought we'd start by asking, your involvement with the show goes back about 10 years and began when Russell T Davies was first producing. How did you first come to get involved?
I got a call at midnight from a friend of mine. He said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "No, I'm in bed," which I was. He said, "Doctor Who's coming back." I went, "What?" I mean, because everyone who loved Doctor Who had carried a torch for it all those years since it had been off the air for 16 years, apart from the Paul McGann movie, brief false dawn of hope. And just all of a sudden it was happening, and it happened all in a rush. Then it leaked and it was in the papers and all sorts, and it was happening. And then so I knew that Russell was doing it. I knew Russell a little, and then he sent me the series outline, and episode 3 was called "The Name's Dickens, Charles Dickens," and I thought, well, I hope he wants me to do that one, which indeed he did. So, and then the Christmas he rang me to sort of confirm. It was that Christmas of 2003. It was like the best day of my life.
Was it daunting first starting to write?
Well, yes, because the thing is, anyone who always loved Doctor Who, we'd always wanted to write for it. I'd written some books in the interregnum. But it was a done deal. It was a closed universe, as it were. So you were sort of continuing it, but sort of it was a known thing. You had to slot things in and that sort of thing. Whereas suddenly it was a new series, and the thing was immediately clear was the format was totally different. It wasn't 4-parters. It was 45-minute episodes, much more compact. There was a new backstory. The Doctor was the last of the Time Lords. Something terrible had happened. But it was so exciting. But yes, it was daunting because there was a lot to unlearn, and a lot of excitement from just the freedom to say, well, we're going to do this then. And it doesn't matter about 26 years of continuity in that sense. You just want to say, right, we're reinventing it for a brand new audience who've never seen a Dalek, who've never seen a Time Lord, But I'll never forget the joy of actually writing interior TARDIS and thinking, this is actually happening.
You're on to your 4th Doctor now with Peter Capaldi. I mean, how has each actor's portrayal kind of changed the way you've written for the series?
You tend to initially write a sort of default Doctor if there isn't a Doctor cast. I think I've twice actually started a script without knowing who it was going to be, and then you tend to write a sort of the Doctor. The Doctor's always the Doctor, so you know basically his attitude towards life, the universe, and everything. He's not going to suddenly turn into a baddie. But as soon as you know who it is, or if you actually know them already, you can get a sense of what might be coming in terms of their voice and their sort of mannerisms and their style. And then it's an evolving process, really, for the actor and the writer, because they discover, what they, their initial thoughts might go out the window and they totally change it. I mean, Peter had this thing early on about his costume, which incredibly admirable thing. He said, I want it to be something you can just do in the playground, just by buttoning your shirt up, and it's true. But within that, now he's got a hoodie and he's got a velvet coat and he's mixed it up a bit. So you can start out with very specific ideas all round, and then as you're actually in the thick of doing it, that's quite a good pun, didn't mean that, it sort of alters your perception, really.
Oh, is that the pilot? My God, look at the size of it.
No. That's the body.
What do you mean the body?
This isn't just any spaceship. It's a hearse.
What's been your favourite episode of the show you've written so far?
My favourite episode, I think, is probably the Crimson Horror, because it's the most me. I think it's a sort of like Royston Vasey episode of Doctor Who. I became slightly obsessed with the idea of doing a Northern Doctor Who. It's something of a bugbear of mine that geographically the show still hasn't gone very far. We've gone to Wales a lot recently, oddly enough, but it's still huge parts of the country, not even Europe, haven't been explored. And I think it gives a different flavour to it. I thought it was interesting that just by setting it just outside Bradford, the whole style of it is different. I think it's quite an interesting thing for a show where obviously you've always got an eye on the budget and it's hard to create convincing alien worlds. You think, well, actually, if we just go to Doncaster, it might feel like a very different episode. But I'm very excited about my new one. If it all comes together, it'll be very exciting.
Are there any places you'd love to take the show?
You mean geographically?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, funny enough, I went to India last year to promote Doctor Who and Sherlock and Japan and Brazil. And every time I go somewhere, I just think, well, this would be amazing. I mean, it's always a logistic thing, you know. It's for the actual producers of the show is their decision, but it's whether you could make it work. You could do one set in Australia, but it's a long way to go for what would probably be 2 days filming. Whereas if you can go to Lanzarote for 2 days filming for the Moon, then it's all very doable, you know. But I mean, I've got this thing I'd love to do one set in India, and I think you could do that mostly in Cardiff, if you know what I mean. But if you had a couple of days somewhere really amazingly photogenic, then the rest of it is kind of doable. But that's the sort of general rule for foreign filming.
We've heard that Rhys Shearsmith might be showing up in one of your new episodes. Is that right?
Yes.
Is this the first time you worked together since League of Gentlemen?
No, we did. I was in an episode of Psychoville with Stephen Rees, and they cameoed in my adaptation of The First Men in the Moon in the silent movie sequence. We've done quite a bit actually. It's the first major thing, and of course Rees played Patrick Troughton in my drama about the creation of Doctor Who. So this is his second go, really. I think it's a bit too much. Might take him out.
I mean, you've done quite a bit of work with Stephen Moffat now, both on this and on Sherlock. Is the way you work on Doctor Who very different from how you work together on Sherlock?
Yes, because Sherlock, we run the show together, and you know, with Sue Virtue, Steve's wife, as producer, and it's a tight unit. Whereas Doctor Who is a huge and longer thing. It's on every year as opposed to every couple of years with Sherlock, and I'm just a guest writer, really. I mean, after all these years, I'm happy to say I have a lot of say, and they send me the rushes and edits and things like that. But I'm just the guest writer on it, so it's still a thrill and a joy to think that it's happening. Still writing Interior TARDIS is amazing.
I have you at my mercy. Exterminate, Doctor. Ancient, inoperable. Genius. You would threaten a dying man. Have I not suffered enough? Get out.
You've also got the Doctor Who Festival coming up in November.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about
that? It's a sort of celebration, but a kind of a convention, really. It's a chance to talk to fans, and we're doing a series of kind of writers Q&As, masterclasses they call them. It's just really just to field questions from budding script writers and who are talking to us the way we would have talked to the producers years ago, and hopefully they'll be the next generation of showrunners. Not all of them. It'll be a bit chaotic.
It's a fan base like no other, isn't it? It's fair to say.
Yes, I mean, I always used to think the Prisoner. I remember the '60s series, The Prisoner. There's 17 episodes of The Prisoner. I used to think if you were a really, really keen Prisoner fan, so 17 episodes to talk about, you'd go mad. Yeah. But luckily, Doctor Who has 52 years to talk about. But yeah, in terms of sheer longevity and broad base, it's like nothing else. Absolutely.
And what's coming up for you outside of Doctor Who and Sherlock next? Have you got much lined up?
That's all there is. Well, I'm doing this play at the National till the end of October, and then we're getting in the swing of preparing to shoot Sherlock. So that's going to kind of occupy me. Apart from that, I don't know.